Picture a stick figure lying awake, face lit by a screen in a dark room. Every life they scroll past looks happier, further ahead, more put together than they feel inside. And with each swipe, something quiet gets a little heavier. Maybe you know that feeling. The friend whose life looks effortless. The small, sinking sense that everyone else got a map you never received. We tell ourselves comparison keeps us motivated. But more often, it quietly steals the one thing we can never get back. Our peace, right here, in the only life that's actually ours. So tonight, let's slow down and talk gently about the comparison trap. How measuring yourself against other people steals your peace, and 7 calm truths that can quietly set you free. Before we begin, let's be honest about what comparison really does, because we've made it a habit we barely notice. We treat it like simple information, a harmless glance at how we're doing. But comparison is rarely neutral. It takes the rich, complicated truth of your whole life and flattens it into a single number, then sets that number against someone else's highlight reel. You never win for long. There is always someone smarter, richer, further along. And the moment you pass one person, your eyes drift to the next. The cost is quiet at first. Then you notice how rarely you feel content, how a perfectly good day can sour the instant you open your phone. Over the next few minutes, we'll walk through 7 truths that loosen comparison's grip. Not to make you stop caring, but to give you back your own life, lived from the inside instead of measured from the outside. First truth. Comparison is a rigged game, because you compare your inside to everyone else's outside. You know your own life completely. Every doubt, every messy morning, every fear you've never said out loud. But all you ever see of other people is the surface they've chosen to show. The smile, the announcement, the good news, the carefully framed photo. So you set your unedited insides against their edited outsides and wonder why you always come up short. It was never a fair match. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. That person you envy has fears and hard nights too. You just don't get to see them. Once you really feel how lopsided this is, it loses some of its sting. You're not behind. You're simply seeing everything of yourself and almost nothing of them. Here's something small to try. The next time you catch yourself envying someone's life, pause and quietly remind yourself, I'm seeing their highlight, not their whole. Then picture, just for a moment, the parts you can't see, the worries, the setbacks, the struggles every person carries underneath. You don't do this to tear them down. You do it to remember they're as human as you are, and that the gap you feel is mostly a trick of the angle. Second truth. Comparison is a race with no finish line. Climb to wherever you're trying to reach, and you'll find a whole new crowd already standing there, further along than you. Get the job, and someone has a better one. Comparison always finds a fresh person to measure you against, so the relief you're chasing never quite arrives. They're not failing. They're running a race that was designed never to end. The horizon of better always moves with you, step for step. If your peace depends on being ahead of everyone, you've signed up for a chase you can never win. The way out isn't to run faster. It's to gently step off the track entirely and decide for yourself what enough looks like. So try this. Notice the next time your mind whispers, I'll feel okay once I reach their level. Gently question it. Ask yourself, when I got the last thing I was chasing, how long did the satisfaction actually last before my eyes moved to the next person ahead? Seeing that the finish line always keeps moving is the first real step towards setting your own quiet definition of enough. Third truth. The feed is not a window. It's a stage. When you scroll, it feels like you're glimpsing real lives, but you're watching a performance carefully cast and lit. People post their wins and their best angles, and quietly leave out the doubt, the boredom, the bills, the arguments. Then the machine shows you thousands of these polished moments in a row, stitched together into one impossible person who is always succeeding. That person does not exist. You're comparing your ordinary Tuesday to 1,000 people's best days, compressed into a few minutes of scrolling. The feed isn't reality, it's a trophy case. And standing in front of someone else's trophy case, feeling small, is one of the saddest ways to spend the only attention you have. Here's a gentle experiment. For the next few days, pay attention to how you feel right after you put your phone down, not while you scroll, just after. If a certain account or a certain person reliably leaves you feeling smaller, give yourself permission to mute or unfollow with no guilt. You're just refusing to hand your peace to a feed that was built to keep you comparing. Fourth truth, comparison quietly steals the life you already have. The moment you measure your day against someone else's, the good things right in front of you start to fade. The meal you were enjoying, the work you were proud of, the evening that felt like enough. All of it dims the moment you ask whether someone else has more. Comparison is a leak in the bottom of the bucket. You can keep pouring in good things, but if you're always measuring against others, contentment drains out as fast as it arrives. And here's the quiet tragedy. The people you envy are often envying someone else, while you're all surrounded by gifts you can't feel. The grass isn't truly greener there. It's greener wherever you actually stop to water it. So tonight, try filling the leak for a moment. Name 3 things in your own life that you would genuinely miss if they were gone. The person who texts you back, the roof over your head, a body that carried you through the day. Don't compare them to anyone. Just hold them, plainly, as yours. Gratitude and comparison can't really share the same breath. Practice one, and the other quietly loosens its grip. Fifth truth. The only fair comparison is the person you used to be. Measuring yourself against strangers tells you almost nothing, because you don't share their starting line or their road. But the person you were a year ago, that's a comparison that's actually yours. Look back honestly, and you'll usually find quiet growth you'd stopped noticing, things that once scared you and no longer do. That progress was always there. Comparison just kept your eyes pointed sideways instead of back. When you turn the measurement inward, it stops being a source of shame and becomes a source of encouragement. You're not in a race against everyone else. You're simply tending your own growth, season by season, the way a seed doesn't compete with the tree beside it. It just keeps quietly reaching for its own light. Try this one gently. Think back to where you were 3 or 5 years ago and name one real way you've grown since, something you understand now, or handle now, that the younger you simply couldn't. Let it count, even if no one else would clap for it. This is the comparison worth keeping. Not you against them, but you against the person you used to be. That's the only race where moving forward is always quietly possible. Sixth truth. Someone else's success is not your failure. Comparison loves to whisper that life is a single pie, that every slice another person takes leaves a little less for you. So when a friend does well, a part of you flinches, as if their gain were your loss. But most of life simply doesn't work that way. Someone else's good fortune doesn't drain a fixed pool you were waiting to drink from. Their light doesn't darken your room. When you can let someone else win without feeling like you've lost, something heavy lifts, because you're no longer quietly at war with everyone who's doing well. You can even let their success become quiet proof that good things are possible. Their chapter was never a verdict on yours. So the next time someone shares good news and you feel that familiar tightening, try something different. Pause, and offer them one genuine word of gladness, out loud, or even just quietly in your own mind. Notice that wishing them well costs you nothing, and gently loosens the knot in your chest. You're practicing a small, freeing truth. There's room for them to rise, and room for you to rise too. The world is far wider than the single pie comparison imagines. Seventh truth. You are walking your own path, on your own clock. Comparison assumes everyone is running the same race on the same track, so falling behind must mean failing. But there is no shared track. Each of us starts in a different place, carries a different weight, and moves toward a different horizon. Some flowers open in spring and some in autumn, and the autumn ones aren't late. They're simply on their own season. Your timeline isn't wrong just because it doesn't match someone else's. The milestones that were supposed to happen by now were never a law. They were only other people's directions. When you stop borrowing someone else's map, you can finally feel the quiet rightness of your own road, moving at exactly the pace your life actually requires. So try setting down one borrowed milestone tonight. One should that was never really yours. Maybe it's where you thought you'd be by a certain age, or a marker you chase only because others reached it. Ask yourself honestly, Do I actually want this, or do I just want to not feel behind? Keep what's genuinely yours, and gently release the rest. Your path doesn't need to look like anyone else's to be exactly right for you. So let's gather the 7, slowly, before you go. Comparison is a rigged game. You're inside against everyone's outside. It's a race with no finish line, where passing one person only reveals the next. The feed is a stage, not a window. Comparison steals the life you already have. The only fair measure is the person you used to be. Someone else's success is not your failure, because life was never a single pie, and you are walking your own path, on your own clock. Notice the thread running through them all. Not stop striving, not stop caring, but come home to your own life and live it from the inside. So choose one comparison tonight and gently set it down. If this helped, take a second to subscribe and leave a like. It quietly helps the channel grow. Be gentle with yourself. Your life was never meant to be measured against anyone else's. So take care.